Hello YouTube, welcome to Rob's Artcade. I'm your host Rob, and if you're watching this on the day I first posted it, it is my favorite day of the week. It's game day. I am a huge football fan, and as you can probably tell by my attire, my team is the Buffalo Bills. Now I'm very superstitious when it comes to my Bills. I always sit in the same spot when I watch a game. I always drink out of the same coffee mug when I watch a game. So imagine my surprise when I go to grab this coffee mug and I find this instead. And this can't be a coincidence because check out the topic of this episode. That's right, Player Twos. The topic of this episode is the Genie from Aladdin, which makes me think it's no coincidence that this bad boy was where my lucky mug is supposed to be. Now I'm going to rub it. Let's all hope that nothing weird happens, okay? Fingers crossed. Yeah, something weird happened. No way, dude. Get back in the lamp. No. Look, I love the Genie just as much as the next guy, and wishes would be awesome, but I just had a thought. If I had a Genie, I wouldn't have an ounce of privacy. Like, picture this, right? I'm going to take a shower. All I want is some peace. Then all of a sudden, this dude shows up with a sponge wearing a shower cap wanting to wash my back. I don't want that whatsoever. And besides, one of my wishes already came true. Go Bills.
The Bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen.
Okay, Player Twos, it's time to start drawing the Genie. Same as we always do, the first step is the guideline step. In this step, I'll be using this red dry erase marker on this white dry erase board. When I draw in red, I want you to press very lightly with your pencils. Eventually we're going to go in and we're going to erase all these lines. First thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a circle. Now make sure you're leaving some space at the top of your paper and a lot of space at the bottom because we're going to have a lot more details to add down here. When we're done with that, we're going to draw a little curve right through our circle. Again, since the Genie's head is turned in a 3/4 view, that means that we're going to have one eye larger here as opposed to the other eye here because his head is turned. Next thing we're going to do, starting right about here, we're going to draw a shape that's kind of like a curve. Stops right there, and then goes up. Okay, that'll be for his nose. Now you can tell the image is already starting to take shape. We have his nose, we have part of his head. Next up is we're going to draw the eyes. First thing we're going to do a little curve right here. And then we're going to do an oval right on top of that curve. When we're done with that, we're going to go right over here, very close to the same size, which I went a little bit too far. And see, if you notice, that's the good thing about pressing very lightly with your pencils. That even though I'm using a dry erase marker, if you're using a pencil, you can still erase a mistake like that really easily. So now we have nose, eyes. The next thing we're going to do, starting right here, we're going to draw a rectangle. Again, this is just a guideline, okay? So if it's easier, you can draw right through what we did right here. So So this will be for his mouth, but eventually we'll add more details to it. Eyes, nose, mouth. Next up, starting right about where the mouth ends, we're going to draw a big, old, kind of like the letter U, and bring it up right to about there. Eyes, nose, mouth, chin. Starting right about here, we're going to draw a circle, followed by a big triangle on top of it. Eyes, nose, mouth, ear. Next up, right about here, we're going to draw a rectangle, and we're going to draw a curve, and then we're going to do a letter S. Let's see, we almost have the genie already. Eyes, nose, mouth, chin, ear, ponytail. Over here, I'm just going to draw a little curve that goes up and down. And there we have step one. That's the guideline step. Step two, I'm going to be going into the blue marker. When I draw in blue, I want you to press a little harder with your pencil, but not too hard. Just hard enough so you know the difference between the lines in this step and the lines in the guideline step. Because eventually, we're going to ink over this whole image, and then we're going to erase all of the pencil lines, leaving only the black lines that we did in the final step. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go over his nose. Then I'll go over the eyes, little curve here, oval for his eye, we're going to add an eyeball. Same there. Same thing here. Oval for his eye, another eyeball. Above his eyeballs, we're going to draw kind of like two crescent moon shapes. A curve here, curve here, curve here, and a curve here. Those are for his eyebrows. I'm just going to shade these in. You guys don't have to do this, just to kind of show you a little bit easier, make it a little bit easier to see on the board. Eyes, nose, eyebrows. Next step, starting right here at the corner of the rectangle we did for his mouth area, we're going to draw a little curve. It's going to be down, around, and down like that. So kind of like a very flat letter S. Down, around, down. Then we're going to go around our rectangle. And at the top of it, we're just going to kind of alter it a little bit just to make this a curve. Again, we just did this because of the guideline. This is just for placement of where we're going to actually put his mouth. So you start down here and you do the curve. And you bring the curve around to here. Curve, bring the curve around here. Okay, I understand that I'm going a little fast, but as I always say, the good thing about this being on YouTube is that if I'm going too fast, we can pause it, we can rewind it, we can find where we made mistakes, we can slow it down, we can do whatever we need to do to keep up. If your image doesn't look exactly like this, again, that's okay. Don't get discouraged. Keep practicing. Pause it. Take a look at the screen and take a look at your paper and see where the differences are and see what you can fix. We're going to get back to drawing now. We're going to follow our guideline that we did around here. And again, we're going to loosen it up a little bit, add a little curve in the bottom, and just add a little tiny curve at the end. So you can tell that instead of having that little box there, by just adding a couple little curves, we've turned this into a smile. We're going to add a rectangle here for his teeth. Outside of this little box right here, we're going to add another rectangle. And then inside, we're going to do a letter M. But it's a little curved, so something that's like this. That'll be for his tongue. So just picture this as a letter M. Curve, curve. And then eventually, I'm just going to show you this on the board just so it's easier to see. Eventually we're going to color in this spot and make this black. So now you can see that teeth, tongue, mouth. Starting a little bit away from the mouth, right around here, we're going to draw a line. We're going to bring it down to the chin area, and we're going to follow our curve to about here. Then, starting here, we're going to just thicken this curve to make his beard. So we're going to draw it around, and then we're going to bring it up to the top right about there. At the bottom of the beard, we're going to make a little swirl shape. So we're going to start right about here, and we're going to bring it down and around, like the letter J. Follow that, bring that down and around here, curve it up at the top. So again, I'm just going to color this in just to show you guys. When this is all colored in black, we're going to have the beard. Next up, we're going to go over the cheek and this little guideline that we did right about here. We're going to do the top of the head. Now we're going to start right about where the eye meets. We're going to have it go over the eyebrow. And we did the top of his head here, but there's a little swirl starting right about there. We're going to bring it up over the ponytail that we did and bring it down to the ear. So we're actually going to fatten up this base just a little bit and shrink this little rectangle. So you can start right about there and just make a little curve, because eventually we're going to go in here and we're going to trace over what's left of our rectangle and then go around the hair. So we're almost done. Just one more step left in step 2. You can see we have the genie is pretty much almost done. Eyes, eyebrows, nose, mouth, chin, beard, ponytail. All that's left is the ear. We're going to start right about here and we're going to trace over our triangle. We're going to add a little curve to it and follow our guideline. I made that a little bit too thin. Excuse me. We're going to follow our guidelines right here. So since we have the two shapes combined, we're just going to go over them. And when we eventually erase everything, we're not going to have this anymore. So we're going to have one solid shape. Inside the ear, we're going to draw a letter H. A little curve here, and a little curve there. And there you have it. Step 2 is complete. Now all we need to do is take our black felt tip pen or black marker and trace over all of the lines that we did in step 2. All the guidelines in the first step, we're not tracing over those. Eventually we're going to erase those. Those are going to be gone. Right now, we're just erasing over the lines I did in blue. The lines that you just did in the last step. So I'm going to go a little fast with this, but I'm going to go over the nose. At this step 2, make sure you're only tracing over the lines that you need. And make sure you're tracing over all of those. Because if you don't trace over it and erase all your stuff afterwards, you're going to erase your lines from your second step. Which means that you're going to have spaces in your drawing. So before you erase everything, just make sure that you've traced over all your lines. Make sure that you followed all the steps. Going through the eyebrows right now. There's a little curve at the top of the head. His ponytail. I'm just going to very roughly shade this in just so my player 2s have an idea of what we've got going on right here. Over his ear. H shape for the inside of his ear, the detail. Over the mouth. Over the curve right here. Curve right here, and I'm going to bring that up, make that a smile. There's a little detail right there for his cheek. Bring it down and around here. Over the teeth. Tongue. The rest of his teeth. Back up here for his cheek, and his jaw. I'm going to go over the beard, final curve. And then we're just going to add one little extra line right here just for effect. And there you have it, player twos. We just drew the genie. Now, if your drawing doesn't look exactly like this, again, as I always say, it's okay. This is a process. We're learning. So if you need to, go back, take a look. If you notice that your nose is a little off, go rewind the video and find out where you made the mistake, and you can go and fix it. But right now, give this a few minutes, wait for the ink to dry, then take your erasers and erase everything. So this way, this will get rid of all the guidelines, and then you have a completely finished picture. Great job, player twos. Can't wait to see you next episode. On this episode of the Classic Game Showcase, we're going to be spending some time with Disney's Aladdin on the Sega Genesis. This platform game was based on the hit movie of the same name and was an amazing technical achievement. A small team of animators created smooth, hand-drawn animation and used an in-house process known as Digicel to compress the data onto the cartridge, making Aladdin the first console game to use hand-drawn animation. The results were astounding, creating graphics and animation that still hold up today. Gameplay wasn't too shabby either. You control Aladdin as he reenacts key scenes from the storyline of the film. Aladdin's primary forms of offense are a scimitar for short-range slashing attacks and a finite amount of apples which can be thrown for long-range attacks. Don't worry about running out of apples. They can be found in abundance throughout the game. Aladdin's health is indicated by a trail of smoke emanating from the genie's lamp at the top left corner of the screen. The smoke trail shrinks every time Aladdin is hurt and can be restored by collecting blue genie hearts scattered throughout each level. Extra lives can be obtained by collecting hidden golden icons of Aladdin's head, and he can also collect gems which can be traded to a peddler on each level in exchange for extra lives or wishes, which allow players to continue the game after losing their last life. Genie tokens are collectible icons that allow the player to be taken to a bonus stage upon completion of a level. And while we're talking about bonus stages, collecting an Abu token will allow players to control Aladdin's pet monkey on 2 bonus levels. Aladdin was released for the Super Nintendo at the same time the Genesis version was released. While a decent game in general, this game was upstaged by its Sega counterpart due to different gameplay and traditional sprite animation as opposed to the Digicel process used on the Sega Genesis cartridge. This game was also ported to the NES and Game Boy, but are significantly altered due to the hardware capabilities. In 2019, the Genesis and Game Boy versions were included alongside The Lion King as part of the Disney Classics game Aladdin and the Lion King compilation for the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Microsoft Windows. Aladdin is an amazing achievement in video game history and was the 3rd best-selling Sega Genesis game of all time, ranking below Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 respectively. I highly recommend playing this game if you get the opportunity. Till next time. And that's a wrap on another episode of Rob's Arcade. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video to help this channel grow. Also be sure to follow Rob's Arcade at the social media links listed in the description below. Now as far as the next episode goes, we've got a great one planned. We're going to spend some time with a classic cartoon that after 22 years is back on the air with brand new episodes. Till then, keep drawing, and I'll see you next time at Rob's Arcade.